Hello guys, and welcome to episode 10 of the Golden Kamuy. I am Clockwork Noodles, and this is our another breakdown for the season 3 of Golden Kamuy. This week's episode was titled Catching Up with the Wolf. It wasn't quite what I thought it would be. This episode was full of amazing things. There's 3 points which are major important points, which I'll cover when we get to those sequences. First things first, the most boring bit, of course. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I have got a video in 3 days going live on the channel. That will be the Winter 2021 anime watch list. What I'm watching next season, what am I breaking down, what am I reviewing. Tagged into that video, my top 3 anime of Fall 2020. What 3 anime are on my list, and what did I crown King of Fall 2020? There is, of course, a Discord channel, so if you want updates sent straight to your phone whenever a video goes live, make sure you guys head over there, give it a like. It will eventually grow into something bigger when we get a little bit bigger as a community. We open on quite the peaceful scene, and we open upon some seals out in the world, and I was waiting for it. I was actually waiting for it. I was like, okay, right, any minute, there's going to be a headshot. Ogata is going to kill these seals, and it's not. I think the anime picked up on the fact that I was picking up on it every time it happened, and I decided to spice things up and, make me look stupid. It was actually Asiripa who ends up spearing the seal in the neck. The group sees a reindeer. Kiro says that he probably fled the continent because something was chasing it, and I have put in little capital letters, what was chasing it? That does get answered this episode, and that's the bit I think I struggled to comprehend the most. I also wrote in little letters, isn't it more dangerous as a reindeer to be near Ogata right now? What would you prefer, a death by tiger or death by Ogata? I guess if you were death by Ogata, it's going to be a quick death, so maybe that one. We now go over the battle plan, and at this point I was like, yes, this is it. We're probably going to build up to the battle plan. We're going to end on maybe the explosions. I am horrifically wrong, and everything I thought I knew about where we might end the season is just wrong. I'm 100% wrong. The plan is quite simple. We see Kiro and Shiraishi going out to drill some holes in a wooden post, which they end up shoving some dirty snow into the holes, which is quite cool. I didn't realise that would be a thing, that you could camouflage your holes, mud. Everything goes really smoothly, and this probably should have flagged up on my radar that something was a little bit amiss. No, I didn't think of it. Also, wasn't expecting to see the breakout this episode. The plan of action is we're going to destroy 4 spots in the outer perimeter. That will be the side that faces the straits, and it will all take place tomorrow at sunrise. I've even put, hey look, the time is ticking. Is Sugimoto not going to catch up? Are we going to catch up? Doesn't actually matter, because we dive straight into the action, straight into Prison Break round 2. I was expecting more from this scene, maybe also later than it was. Everything about this was very unexpected for me. This is actually it. This is the sequence. One of the 4 explosives actually blows, so the plan does not take off to a very good start. They do liken it to explosives not being stored properly. See, those warnings on the boxes of the food or the stuff that you buy, which says, store in a nice dry place. Very important you actually do that, guys, or your explosives may not go off. I mean, no, explosives? No, I don't know what you're talking about. Team Sugimoto has kind of caught up. They are overlooking the town Akko, and that's when they see the plume of the smoke from the explosion. Further ahead than I actually thought they were. Sophia's side of the breakout plan goes absolutely fine until obviously they go face to face with the tiger. Sofia ends up breaking the chains. Her men and her get ready to go out, but they are completely unaware of the failed explosive. So when they get out, they don't see any gaps. And when they finally locate this hole, it's all going smoothly. They go and they want to get out, and there's no guards at this point. And then the tiger appears. And I know it's explained. I know they explained that Siberian tigers will travel far from their locations. They hunt their prey down. And I've seen some weird stuff in this anime. The one thing I just wasn't expecting was a tiger. It was the tiger which ended up chasing our reindeer, and now the tiger is attacking. Team Asiripa, who didn't see the tiger, outside. They see that no prisoners have appeared. So whether they ran off and then came back and then the tiger slipped in, or they just were blind to the fact the giant tiger got in, I'm gonna let my imagination run wild with this. The prisoners try to defend themselves from the tiger. They do get a funny little line, which thankfully they do actually explain. Sofia says that's not the right Yulbars. And it turns out that Yulbar actually means tiger in Tatar, which is a great irony. I love it. What are the odds of an actual tiger appearing when you were waiting for the human version of the tiger. The guards now start shooting at the men, so we need to hurry. Sofia's men try to draw the tiger away, where Sofia, being the amazing, strong, independent woman that she is, takes on Eulbars. Sofia is fighting Kiro in his animal form. It's just quite funny. The tiger ends up getting out onto the roof. Kiro decides to explode another location, and that ends up drawing us away from the sequence. Sofia and the men escape. I'm not gonna lie, it was a wee bit underwhelming. I think it's because I was building it up to be something similar to the cliffhanger that we had last season. I guess in the sense the anime doesn't want to repeat the same ending for this season, because, I mean, there's only so many prison breaks you can have. And we do get some very, very important information after, so I guess it was worth speeding through this bit. Sofia also does what I have done apparently this entire season, and I do apologise for this so badly. She ends up messing up and calling Asiripa an Harafutu Ainu. Obviously, Asiripa doesn't associate itself as being one, but obviously we know that Wilk was. I do apologise. I do seem to be messing up quite a bit. There are a lot of different ethnic minorities often mentioned, and there will be times when I'm writing so much down, I will go back to my notes, I can't read them, or I will just, by accident, even just simply mislabel. Not done on purpose, guys, really isn't. It's just simply, I need a better way of writing, I think. Now, finally, she's met Asiripa, and it's the eyes that she obviously comments on. Everyone seems to comment on eyes. Obviously, with Harry Potter, it's you've got your mother's eyes. With this, it's you've got Wilk's eyes. The moment is then ruined by Shiraishi, who is staring at, in air quotes, beautiful Sofia, who isn't quite what he expected. And it's just Kiro in this scene. Kiro is shocked, and I'm like, okay, is he going to be shocked that she's not this beautiful woman that he remembers? He says, you've grown into a lovely woman, and it's just that look from Ogata and Shiraishi at that point. And bear in mind, Ogata's eyes, the king of sniper, has to have the best eyes out of the group. Even he is shocked. To make me feel better, this next scene is so therapeutic. I could replay this slap over and over again. There's sometimes you just get a character in an anime that you just don't like, or you just want to see take a slap to the face occasionally, and Kiro was one of them, so I'm thankful that he got a slap. She ends on, what did you do to Wilk? The face that they take us out on, his face is really shadowy, and it looks really serious, so I don't know if Kiro is hiding something, but I thought we knew how Wilk died. What is she accusing him of? Maybe she doesn't know the story, so that's probably what it is, and she thinks that Kiro's done something. The guardsmen follow through the hull, and all they can find is the Niv fisherman. Turns out that choosing the morning, very early morning breakout time was a very good thing, because these fishermen go out to go and catch fish, go and walk upon the ice, so there's a lot of people around. And that is it. That really is the escape is a success. We are no longer ending the season where I thought we were going to end it. I was all set on us having that prison break Mark 2. We're not going to have that. So now I have absolutely no idea where we are possibly going to end. The second half of this episode is the most important part of this episode, and maybe of the season, because we get some very important, and maybe even the most important moment for the anime, and I'm probably hedging my bet saying that, but I think it is. Asiripa now wants some answers, and I love the way that the voice actor is changed out for a young one. We obviously mentioned last week that team did a really good job of hiding the fact that it was Tsurumi by actually using a different voice actor entirely. So not the same voice actor, didn't make him just pretend to be a bit younger. They actually got someone completely different. They went all out on trying to keep that reveal as big as possible. And again, still kudos to them, because that really was an amazing episode last week. This episode comes close to topping it. There's a few moments which top it, but as a whole, I think I enjoyed last week's episode a little bit more. So we go back to Sofia. We see a young Sofia. We know already that she was a rich noble. She obviously knows how to speak French. She ends up meeting Wilk and Kiro. It happened at a revolutionary mission, so she met them on a mission. And that is when they became very important to her. They ended up opening up her eyes. They taught her about the wider world, a world beyond being stuck in a house, being a rich woman in the city. So she started to learn all about the traditional life, about Ainu sled dogs, everything that we've slowly learnt as an audience as well. She learned about the ethnic minority lifestyles, and we know we have the goal reset out for us, reconfirmed, that it is a fight to protect their lifestyles. It is a fight to help preserve these cultures. Wilk mentions that the natives of America lost their battle because they were all fighting each other, that if the ethnic minorities here cooperate, they might actually succeed. Team Sugimoto arrive late, but I am not disappointed because they are very close now. So we are now literally getting that cat and mouse starting to be set up. They examine the blast damage and they're able to work out that they are not that far behind. Ryu ends up picking up Asiripa's, but then this moment is just ruined. And I was like, oh, okay, we're going to go across. We're going to go and meet them and it's going to be quick. No, we need to throw a few distractions in the way first. We are interrupted by some screaming children. And yeah, the tiger. It's the tiger, man. The tiger is there. And I have got to question. Presumably some time has now taken place since that explosion and Kiro escaped. But did the guards not think to kill the dangerous animal? I mean, I know we were told not to shoot it because it's bad luck by Sofia and the men. But the guards don't know that. So why is this thing still alive? The team start to shoot at the tiger. Admittedly, they don't kill it. This is the first of the 3 moments. This is my first of the 3 moments of this episode. It is Ogata hearing those gunshots. I even put, is he going to recognise the 8th Division weapons? Because clearly they've got a standard issue rifle, so he's going to hear that. And obviously, what are the 8th doing up in Russia? Close. I was very close. I'm very proud at how close I got. He ends up recognising the very long gunshot with the older gun, which used black gunpowder, and that is Tanagaki's gun, because we know he's using the old hunting rifle, so the older gun. He does dismiss it, but I think he's tipped off. I think, with how smart he is definitely tipped off now to the fact that I think he knows that Tanagaki or something, or some members of the 8th are definitely pursuing them, and at this point, he must know how close they are. This next moment isn't quite one of the 3 moments, but it's the plot literally decides that it's had enough, it needs to act now. And this really is just seeing the plot in action. It's like plot anime Jesus is now here to make things happen. Shiraishi goes off to take a piss, as always. Everything seems to go wrong for this guy when he goes to take a piss or a dump. He ends up getting literally torn from Team Asiripa. And he's literally divided. He goes through that piss, the flows of ice start to move apart, and he literally ends up divided by this gap. And it did remind me of the men coming from behind, the bad sign we had a few episodes ago. But I think that is in regards to something a little bit later in this episode. But it did suddenly bring that to mind. The plot knows, guys. The plot just knows it's time. We have to tear him away now because it's time. Time to reunite, guys. And I was starting to get very excited because there's only one person in the world right now, besides Asiripa, that I want to see reunite with Sugimoto. And that obviously is Shiraishi. It has to be. The ice in front of him is too dangerous. And this is all, again, a convenient plot armor here. Oh no, Shiraishi has to go back. And he says, I'll catch up later. So he has to go all the way back. And obviously, there's a certain group about to come after them. Team Sugimoto, however, note that they cannot take their sleds out onto the ice as it's not going to be safe. Where Sugimoto just, that's it. He takes off. He takes Ryu and he heads off across because the plot knows where he needs to be now. We need to get some things moving. The plot is kicking up a gear. Team Asiripa -1, of course, that's now their new nickname. They see some wolves on some ice. We're going to go now in for a story time. This story time is, again, building up for the second most important moment of this anime, but also the second most important moment is the most important moment of this season and perhaps the anime as a whole. And you guys probably know what moment I'm talking about. We head back to a flashback. Wilk and Kiro and Sofia and some men are all being chased by the secret police, but they have a wounded man with them. They are unable to move, and they're at that point when they're awaiting to be captured by these guys, where we see Wilk just straight up slit his throat. So as much as I want to call it cold, I also know that it probably was necessary for the fact that if he didn't do that, they would have died. He was going to die, like he said. Which leads us to having another flashback with Asiripa, because remember, making Asiripa remember things is the key goal, I think, for the season. Learning about Wilk killing a man leads Asiripa to recall a hunt that she and Wilk both were on, where Wilk says that we're going to be killing the mum and the baby bear. Asiripa says, why do we have to kill the baby bear? You know, can we take it back to our kotan? But he says the bear is too big to raise. Wilk sees both of them as a very valuable food source to sustain their people's lives. He even says hesitating would result in starvation. The weak lose and they have to be eaten. There's a very stark nature of Wilk starting to come out a little bit, seeing the kind of person he is. To be fair, up to this point, he has been a complete enigma, and he's only been a name really linked to everyone trying to find him to find the gold. But we are starting to understand him a bit more as a person, and Asiripa herself also starting to understand her own father. And this leads into the build-up. Sofia asks, do you know where Wilk's name came from? Asiripa starts to try recalling a very long forgotten memory, which leads us firstly into the initial name, because this guy has 2 names, and Sofia knows only one of the 2. We see a baby Wilk finding a wounded wolf, and he would visit this wolf daily. The wolf was ill, or it was abandoned by its pack because it was sick, where it started to recover and was able to start howling, and it was answered by its pack, presumably. And then he was shocked to find out that when the pack returned, the pack actually killed the wolf because there was no room anymore for him. Sofia explains that Wilk likes wolves because they're rational, because they are logical. Wilk wanted to be the wolf so much that he skinned the wolf. We get a nice little sequence of him running around as a young child, playing with his wolf pelt, trying to be the wolf. And that is when his first name was decided upon. That Wilk actually means wolf in Polish. I did not know that. This leads into the big one. A quick note that when this scene started, I immediately noticed that it was the same colour palette, the same snowflakes, the same feel as the ED. We obviously go out on one of the best EDs, I think. I love the ED for this. The way it started, I was like, okay, this feels very different from everything we've seen so far. The way it almost feels quite dreamlike, I guess, because it's a memory from a past, so she must feel at times that she's looking at something that she doesn't quite remember. It must be appearing a bit like a dream. Asiripa, as always, asking about her mother, and Wilk tells us the story again that he met her in Otaru, and she was the one who taught him many, many things like the Hokkaido Ainu and their traditions. And then the most important thing comes our way. Never forget what I am about to tell you. Although he would have been absolutely screwed if she never remembered this. We learn that his wife was the one who gave Wilk an Ainu name, and the name is Horku Oskani, and it means catching up to the wolf. There is your title. I was presuming that it meant catching up with the group, so I thought a bit too literally with the meaning on this one. I never would have considered that it would have actually been a name, where he wanted to be the wolf so much that his dad had given him that name. He even says, only you and your mother know this name. You must tell nobody. I wonder why. This is the biggest plot piece. This is the biggest puzzle piece now falling into place, because a lot of things start to make sense now. We are taken back to that sequence where Asiripa asks Sugimoto what a certain letter reads as on the tattoos, but this time Asiripa has worked it out. She has worked out something very important with knowing his name. She knows how to read those tattoos. I think it's all finally clicked. It's now putting her in a lot of danger. But at the same time, we've now finally got a link, a route to an end game. Because up until this point, we had no actual confirmed idea, no method to finding this gold. We had no actual way of getting to this end. But now, this is a route. Asiripa knows how to read those tattoos. And if she's figured it out, it's only going to be time now before we can start seeing the rundown to the end goal. But most scarily of all, Ogata knows. Ogata is 100% aware Asiripa has just remembered something very, very important. I also wonder if him seeing how she's reacted to a story about Wilk's name is maybe going to make him do a big brain thing, and he's going to figure out, at least to the point that Wilk hasn't just got one name. Keeping my eye on Big Brain Ogata. Let's now go back to the third and final best moment for me. And this is a moment I am so happy. I'm so happy that we get to see it, but it makes me nervous because there's still 2 episodes to go. Shiraishi almost dies. That isn't the fun part. Admittedly, I love the fact that he takes out this dick talisman to try and protect himself. And he digs it out into the ice and he's like, behold the power of the dick. That is a non-YouTube friendly title I would love to use, but YouTube would just kick me straight out. I would love to use that. The tip snaps off. Ouch. God rest in peace, dick talisman. And then he starts to fall to his supposed death. Obviously at this point he thinks there's no one around, so he might think that he's done for. And we are suddenly reminded of the bad sign, men who come from behind. He is rescued, by none other, yes, my boy. Sugimoto catches his hands and then he says, "We meet again." That smile was worth the wait. I have been waiting so long for just a reunion. Shirashi probably at this point thinks he has actually died and gone to heaven because he thinks that Sugimoto died, so he thinks he's seeing a ghost. I'm so happy and anxious now, but mostly I'm very happy that these two have finally reunited, and I have been waiting for this reunion next to Asiripa's reunion, of course. That's going to be the big one. I don't know if we're going to get the big reunion this season, but we've got one of the reunions, and I am so happy that the Escape King is back with Sugimoto, because those two had such a fun dynamic. They were a comedy duo. They were so fun to watch. The fun energy that the two had together, that they would bounce off each other. Next week's episode, Sin and Impurity. That's a very interesting title. This week's episode, following on from the twist of the last week's episode, we have yet again another OMG moment, another OMG episode. I think the last two episodes have been the biggest plot progressors. I stand by the fact that I think Asiripa finally figuring out about the name and how to read those symbols, that probably is, hands down, the most important fact we've had throughout all 3 seasons, because this now gives us that road to a possible ending. And how we're going to get there and what's going to happen along the way is going to be very interesting. But we now have a actual method to her finding the gold. If it is down to really knowing this guy's name, this guy's real name, only Asiripa knows it. But at the same time, is it something that you can do without knowing this guy's name? Like, this gold has to be at a location somewhere. It's raising a lot of interesting questions in my head about gold at the end of this path. And I tell you guys, sometimes I do forget that there is a bigger picture amongst the madness that is Golden Kamuy, and that we are actually looking for this gold. So it's going to be really weird when we actually do finally get to the gold. And I am aware that the manga is still going, so we clearly haven't got there yet. But I'm now getting really, really nervous because we're coming up to the cliffhanger or whatever big thing is going to see us out for season 3. I love this anime so much, guys. If you can't tell, I really love Golden Kamuy. It's official. I have finally put Golden Kamuy on my top 10 anime of all time. It has finally made the break. I finally kind of gone, I need to put it up there because of how amazing the story is, how intrinsic the story is, how many details. It is such a good anime. It's so underrated. I barely see people talking about Golden Kamuy, and it's sacrilegious, the fact that such an amazing anime is just going under the radar. So thankfully, all of you guys who are watching my videos, you guys are the enlightened ones, the ones who can appreciate the beauty that is the Golden Kamuy. It's such a good anime. I love this anime, and I get so hyped hearing the ED kicking in. I just suddenly go, oh wait, it's over. I want more. And then we have to wait a week for the next lot, and I'm going to have to join you guys now and wait 2 years, or presumably 2 years for the next season. I still think I prefer season 2 if I had to pick a season, but this season has got some of the most important reveals going on. I will give my official score at the end once the final ED plays. My favourite moments so far of this season, the sniper versus sniper between Ogata and Vasily, that was electric. I absolutely adored that. The stuff with the Barnya, I returned to the comic side of Golden Kamuy and seeing our boy Zombie Moto. Whether Zombie Moto is going to make an appearance again, I'm quite scared if he does. I think another favourite moment is actually getting that backstory last week, which literally blew my mind with the reunion between Shiraishi and Sugimoto. I am so happy. I'm going to go to bed happy tonight. I've had an amazing episode. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you guys are staying safe and that you guys too are appreciating the beauty that is the Golden Kamuy. We are kind of like in a secret little club where that no one talks about this anime, but only the wise know about this. The secret of the Barnya. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.